Unemployment is just another unintended consequence of this progressive quest for social justice. A new study out late last month from the Bank of Canada found that minimum wage hikes across the country could result in employment losses of 60,000 workers. The study also showed that consumption of goods and services would end up being reduced slightly as higher inflation would drive up the costs of those goods and services. The same study found that this inflation would more than offset the higher labor income for the worker. In short, the minimum wage hike will make things cost more and will eat up an employee's raise and then some. So much for helping the poor with minimum wage hikes, right? Now, these findings have been bolstered by the C.D. Howe Institute, who did their own analysis and estimated that 25,000 of those 60,000 nationwide job losses could happen right here in Alberta. Nearly half of all the job losses that the Bank of Canada is attributing to minimum wage hikes could happen right here in Alberta, thanks to Rachel Notley's reckless quest for a $15 an hour minimum wage in the middle of the worst economic downturn in a generation. Notley cranked the minimum wage up in October to $13.60 an hour, and it will go up again in October 2018 to $15 an hour. And in Ontario, they just experienced a massive hike in their minimum wage from $11.60 all the way up to $14 an hour. Businesses in both provinces are sounding the alarm bells, warning that they will have to raise their prices and cut hours to compensate for this artificial raise they have to give to all of their employees, whether the employees deserve the raise or not. And all of this puts upwards pressure on wages because it increases the rate of the pay at the bottom. Everybody above the bottom suddenly expects more. The burden on businesses just keeps snowballing out of control. And the reasons for raising the minimum wage are never based in fact. It is always emotion. I mean, just listen to this interview Alberta Labour Minister Christina Gray gave CBC Radio. Here.
All hardworking Albertans deserve to make enough to support themselves and their families. I believe that work should pay enough so that people can drive home from work after working a full-time job and not have to stop at the food bank, which is something that's happening unfortunately too often today.
Is this really the best time to do this in the middle of a recession, a downturn?
Yes, this is the best time right now because Alberta has been out of step. In 2015, the food bank organizations reported that in Alberta, 1 in 6 people using the food bank were working. This was almost twice the national average, which was 1 in 3. I apologize, I've reversed that. 1 in 3 in Alberta, 1 in 6 in all of Canada. So Alberta's been out of step where people working low-wage jobs are having to stop at the food bank on their way home from work. And this is wrong. We need to make sure that nearly 300,000 Albertans who are working for less than $15 an hour, who are primarily adults, primarily women, and almost a third of them have children, are able to take care of their families.
The implication here is that if you don't support artificially raising the minimum wage, you just don't care about the poor, and that everybody who is working for minimum wage is a single mom with, I don't know, 1 leg, raising 11 kids, living off ramen noodles. The left does this all the time. They use the absolute worst case scenario to argue their point without giving the context that their worst case scenario is just a tiny fraction of the actual people who work for minimum wages. So let's take a quick little minute to debunk some of the tugging of the heartstrings and inject some facts into the arguments about the minimum wage. According to the Fraser Institute, who analyzed Statistics Canada's own numbers, 88% of minimum wage earners do not live in a low-income household as measured by Statistics Canada's low-income cutoff, meaning the majority of minimum wage earners are not struggling to get by. They're just supplementing their family's income. Conversely, 83% of workers living in a low-income household already earn more than the minimum wage. This means the people a minimum wage hike is designed to help, the poor, aren't the ones being helped by it. The majority of minimum wage earners, nearly 60% of them, are teenagers or young adults aged 15 to 24, with the vast majority of them, 85%, living with their parents or other relatives. 58% of minimum wage earners work part-time. Only 4% of all full-time workers earn the minimum wage. But this last statistic debunks the emotional manipulation the left constantly uses to push their minimum wage hikes. Just 2% of minimum wage earners are single parents with a child. 2%. That's it. What raising the minimum wage does is jeopardize the hours and jobs of all minimum wage earners to try to help that 2%. And evidence from the Bank of Canada shows it doesn't help them at all. It makes their cost of living higher. It takes money out of their pockets. In Alberta, before our economic downturn, we had a vicious labor shortage and a highly competitive labor market. Help wanted signs were everywhere, and you could easily earn $18 an hour to pour coffee at the local Tim Hortons. If government really wanted to bring wages up where they need to get out of the way of business. Stop the carbon tax, drop the corporate tax rate. Municipalities need to lower their property taxes, repeal every crazy, onerous, and expensive labor regulation added in the last 2.5 years, and then repeal some more regulations. Then stand back and watch business do its thing unmolested by the government. If progressives really wanted to ensure that everybody had a living wage, they should concern themselves with those things that add to the cost of living that government should actually control. We can start by government not taking upwards of 40 to 50% out of every single paycheck, so consumers can create more jobs by spending more of their own money into the economy. But for that to happen, Alberta and Ontario and Canada, well, they all need to change their governments. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Did you know that I have my own show here on The Rebel? It is called The Gun Show, and we focus on issues facing Albertans and all of Canada. To get access to my show and all of our amazing premium content, become a Rebel subscriber today.